Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of the Purpose, Value, and Meaning web class. This week, we are talking about our strengths. No, not physical strength. We're talking specifically about the things you do that you are good at doing and the things that you enjoy doing. Also, the things that you provide to others that they actually look for you to provide. These strengths are important because they hold a key to us finding our purpose. And when we focus on them instead of our weaknesses, we become more productive and more likely to find our purpose and achieve our dreams. So if you do not know who I am Keisha Golder, and I help women make over their lives so that they can begin to live life with purpose and without regrets. I created the Your Life Purpose Makeover Journey, which is a 3-stage 9-step program designed to help you achieve your dreams by creating a path to the person you want to be so that you can live on your terms without regret. I would like to remind everyone that there will be a question and answer section towards the end of the presentation. So if you can hold your questions until then, I would greatly appreciate it. Before we jump into this week's topic, let's do a quick recap of the last web class where we talked about interpersonal communication. And we discussed what interpersonal communication was, the different methods and techniques that we can use to develop our interpersonal communication, the benefits of having interpersonal communication, and maintaining good interpersonal communication. This week, we are talking about strengths, as I said earlier. We are going to learn or refresh our concept of strengths. We are learning why it is important to focus on your strengths, and of course, the benefits of focusing on our strengths. Let's jump right on in. What are strengths? Strengths are the character traits that are considered positive. These traits can include knowledge, attributes, skills, talents. Most of us have heard the questions asked, what are your strengths and weaknesses? People answer this question or ask this question because they want to determine if you are a right fit for a job, program, and the person asking is asking in terms of whatever situation they are asking. So more than likely, if you're on a job interview, someone's going to ask you, what are your strengths and weaknesses? When they ask you that question, they are not asking you in the general sense. They are asking you specifically, what are your strengths and weaknesses in the attributes as it relates to that position that you are applying for in school, or if you're going up for a program or a scholarship or a program, they're going to ask you that question as it specifically pertains to the scholarship or that program. So be mindful that when you are asked that question in the situation that you are asked that question, that will help you answer it better than just giving the general run-of-the-mill strengths and weaknesses, and then people don't get the ideal aspects of what you can contribute to that specific position. So there are 5 types of strengths. Some of us may know these, others of us may not. They are interpersonal, and examples of interpersonal strengths are leadership, teamwork, kindness, forgiveness, and fairness. These are the skills or this is the types of strengths that we utilize when dealing with other people. There are intellectual strengths, and examples of intellectual strengths is a love for learning, creativity, being open-minded and curious. I have always said that I am a forever student. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I will forever be in school, but I am forever learning. I am forever expanding my knowledge on life coaching. I'm forever expanding my knowledge on spirituality. I'm forever expanding my knowledge on any subject that I find interesting. And so that is a strength of mine. I have intellectual strength. The next type of strength is emotional. And examples of this is zest, that enthusiasm or energy that you have for a particular thing, bravery, hope, compassion. All of these are emotional strengths. While we may want to believe that everyone is emotionally strong, the truth of the matter is that they are not. And that is okay. There is nothing wrong with that, because sometimes even those who are emotionally strong need to take a second to just not be emotionally strong for everyone else. They have to take care of themselves. They have to recharge. They have to figure out, what they need to do to fulfill their own emotional needs. The fourth type of strength is strength of restraint. Now, the examples for strengths of restraint, my apologies, are honesty, self-regulation. You can include accountability in that, because you're taking accountability for your life. You're being honest. You're not lying. You know when it's something that you should do. You know when it's something that you should not do. And you make sure that instead of veering off onto that road that you shouldn't be going on, that you continue to go on the path that you are going on. Everyone does not have that. And that can, again, be said for all of these types of strengths. They are not going to be found in every single person. But can we work to embody these strengths? And the answer is absolutely yes. The last type of strength is theological strength. And again, that's spirituality, religious, gratitude, appreciation of beauty, all of these wonderful things that should be a part of our lives. And I know sometimes it's hard for us to express gratitude when we are looking at all of the wrong things. But even when we're looking at all of the wrong things, there is at least one right thing that is happening in our life at that moment. Your connection with God, your connection with whomever you call God, your spiritual connection, all of these things are strengths that you can offer to someone else. You can build on these strengths to help you find your purpose. So, let's move on to why is it important to focus on our strengths? Now, we've learned what strengths are. We've gotten examples of said strengths. Now, why do we need to focus on those instead of focusing on weaknesses? Here's the thing. We need to stop focusing on the weaknesses because we concentrate on the things that we are not good at. And while we may want to improve the things that we are not good at, how about we work on becoming the best at the things that we are good at, then revisit improving our weaknesses. So you have, and I'll just use a hairdresser for an example. You have the skill of doing hair. You're great at it. Are you the best? Are you the number one in your city? No. So work on building up the skills that you need to build in order to be that best person in your city to do it. Then if you decide you want to open up a school to teach it, but you don't necessarily have the interpersonal skills to teach someone, once you get great at doing the thing, then you can work on the weakness of having the interpersonal skills to teach. So then you'll take courses to learn how to teach, how to speak to people, how to create courses, and all of these things that you'll be utilizing to run your business of teaching others your skills that you have become great at, that you have mastered. Also, focusing on our strengths helps us create and increase self-awareness. When you focus on your strengths, you get to know your authentic self better. And knowing who you are, that authentic person without that mask, helps you make better decisions, which is going to help you align more with who you truly are. And when we are aligned with who we truly are, our purpose begins to show itself more. It also helps us understand others because you become more cognizant of the role that you play in the lives of those around you. And you are capable of expressing more empathy for others, not just the people in your lives, but the people that you may encounter that you don't have encounters with on a daily basis. It also shows you what you need and how to focus on the things that you need to focus on. So if you're using a skill in a way that's serving you and your efforts, but you put the focus on something that's not serving you, and that skill starts lacking, you become aware that you're putting your energy, you're putting your focus on something that is not strengthening you. Even though you're already great at that skill, it's a strength of yours. Again, you haven't mastered it. And so when you start to do something, when you set out on a path and you get halfway down that path and say, I think I have everything that I need. I don't need anything else. And you start focusing on something completely off that path, you'll find out that the things that you have gained up until that half point begin to lack because your focus is no longer on the thing that you were good at. It's no longer on that straightforward path, and you have not mastered it. We tend as a people to have 1,000,001 things in our heads. I definitely can attest to that. And a lot of the times we look at the big picture. Well, I'm going to learn this, and then I'll branch off into this, and then I'll branch off into this, and I'll branch off into this. But when we learn that first thing, like I said, we go halfway and say, oh, well, I know enough, and let me branch off into this. You're dividing your energy, you're dividing your time, and you're dividing your focus, which is causing you to lack the skills and lack the strength of that thing that you want so badly because you haven't mastered it. We all need to learn how to master things before we branch off into the next thing. Focusing on our strengths also allows us to appreciate ourselves more. When you focus on your strengths, you are able to see all of the things that you're good at. You're also able to see your growth. You can measure, well, when I first started my journey doing hair, I did braids and the hair was untucked. I didn't know how to get the parts, the smoothness and things like that. And so when you take the time and you're continuing to grow and you're continuing down that path to master it, you'll see, well, this is where I started. And this is where I am now. And this place that I am in now is so much better than when I started. It's not about just doing the same thing over and over again. It's not muscle memory. That's not what we're working for. We're working to get the feel of what it is that we want to do. We're working to get an understanding of what it is that we want to do and the role that it plays in our life and how we can build upon this thing and so that we will walk in our purpose and won't have any regrets about anything. But in order for us to do that, we have to master that one thing first before we put another slice of bread on top of the sandwich. Now, When we talk about maximizing our strengths, what do we mean? Or how do we do that? In order to maximize our strengths, we have to identify what we want to achieve. So, and this is where setting goals come in, and more specifically, setting SMART goals, because you have to be very specific about what it is that you want. So you set the SMART goals to help you get what you want, and you define the path that will get you to that destination. So if you remember in the beginning of this web class, I showed you my 3-stage 9-step program. That is a path. You start at stage 1, step 1, and you work your way all the way to stage 3, step 9, and you have your destination. Not to say that your path has to look like that. I'm just using that as an example. And again, I'll show it to you later. And you determine how your strengths can help you reach your goals. So companies perform SWOTs, which are called strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat analysis. And this helps them to be able to identify what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what their opportunities for advancements in their field is, and what threats are in that field. And so when you're able to perform a SWOT analysis, and it doesn't have to be as in-depth as a company may do, but when you're able to identify these things, then you know how to move. You know how to place the lily pads on your journey, to place your lily pads on that path that's going to get you to the life that you want. And you grow your skills. You focus on the skills that you need to grow. Like I said, we have to sometimes, we may know something and we may know it A to Z or A to Y, but we don't know it. We still have to get to Z, because once we've gotten to Z and we've practiced and we've done all of these things to make sure we're really good at them, frontwards and backwards, only then is when we master them and are able to move on to the next. So is there something that you can learn to increase the potential in your skills or your strengths? There's always going to be room to grow and become better. Even when you master something, there will be another technique. It may not be that next year. It may not be in 2 years, but I'm quite certain that there'll be another technique that comes out soon, especially with all these technological advances that we have. So the skills that you learned last year, chances are, like I just said, there's new information that you didn't learn that's out this year. So go back and revisit them, learn the information, do what you have to do so that you are always at the forefront of your strengths, your skills, and your business. If business is something that you feel is your purpose, there's always changing information. It's always continuous. And in order to stay on top of your craft, you need to make sure that you're focusing on these things. Now, how or what are the benefits of focusing on your strengths? Focusing on our strengths encourages clarity and confidence. It gives you a new appreciation for the traits that we sometimes take for granted, because we're used to these things. These are things that we continuously do. We don't have to think twice about doing them. Whereas to someone else who does not have this skill or this strength, they struggle. So we are taking it for granted while someone else is appreciating how well we can do these things. And when we, focus on this, we are able to better grasp what makes us unique and how our personality and the things that we know affect those around us. It provides just simple clarity about us and our role in life in general. boost productivity is a benefit of focusing on our strengths because you become motivated and you want to achieve more. You focus more on the things that are aligned with your goals. Remember those SMART goals that we created, or aligned with your purpose. And that means you're more likely to succeed. You're more likely to follow your dream. Live that amazing life that you want to live. Get all the things that you desire because you have the clarity, you have the confidence, and you're motivated to accomplish these things. And of course, the last benefit would be increased positive emotions. We all have emotions. We all deal with emotions. Why not deal with positive ones? So using the abilities that naturally come to us allows us to experience satisfaction, joy, fulfillment, pride, all of these wonderful things. And when we discover what we're strong at, what we're good at, naturally or through a learning process, we gain emotional satisfaction. Here's something that I would love for you to remember, that your skills are only useful when you put them to use. So if you learn something today and you take the time to master it, and say you master it in a year, and after that year, you never touch it, do you still consider that your strength? My answer is no. Because you are not utilizing it, because you are not growing it, because you're not staying ahead of it, because you're not focusing on it and cultivating it. So at this time, if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat box, unmute yourself, anything so that you may ask your question. I love to keep in touch with everyone. So here's how you can keep in touch with me. You can like my Facebook page, which is Coach Keisha Golder. Subscribe to my YouTube, Keisha Golder. Follow me on LinkedIn at Keisha Golder. And of course, be sure to visit my website, www.keishagolder.com, where you can catch up on blog posts. Visit any past web classes. Sign up to talk to me, or just ask me a question. And you can also sign up for emails so that you can always stay abreast of what I have going on and how it can be useful to you. I told you that I would show my roadmap again. So this is a path. Anyone who works with me will follow this path, where we'll start at knowing me, which is stage 1. Step 1 of stage 1 is who am I? And we will work our way through step 2. Step 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And when we complete step 9, we are at our destination. So when I talked about creating a path, you want to create a clear path with a determined destination and a route that you will follow to get to that destination. I look forward to talking to you guys next week, where we will be talking about my belief systems, which is step 5 on the roadmap that I just showed. Thank you all for joining me tonight, and I'll see you guys next week.